Do you believe the Russians are being disrespectful when they say that your criticisms of Putin are simply an emotional response? And do you still believe that Putin actually wants to end the war?
I can't tell you that, but I'll let you know in about 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, we're going to find out very soon. We're going to find out whether or not he's tapping us along or not. And if he is, we'll respond a little bit differently. But it'll take about a week and a half, 2 weeks. We have Mr. Witkoff is here, who's doing a phenomenal job, is dealing with them very strongly right now. They seem to want to do something, but until the document is signed, I can't tell you. Nobody can. I can say this. I can say this, that I'm very disappointed at what happened a couple of nights now where people were killed in the middle of what you would call a negotiation. I'm very disappointed by that. Very, very disappointed. Yeah, please.
You just heard U.S. President Donald Trump say that we're going to find out within 2 weeks if Putin is tapping us along in regards to whether or not he actually wants to end the war in Ukraine. A few thoughts on this. First, I've never heard the saying tapping us along in my 28 years on this earth. I've never heard that saying, never, ever. But what Trump's saying here essentially is that we're going to sit on our hands and see if Putin is actually serious about ending the war when everybody and their mother's uncle, everybody in the whole rest of the world can clearly see exactly what this conflict is: an unprovoked, uninstigated conflict from a larger country that, for a bunch of made up historical reasons that under scrutiny do not check out, that Putin lined out in his evil speech when he first invaded Ukraine. This evil man that is the president of Russia has launched a unprovoked war on a smaller country for bogus reasons and is willing to drive his country into the ground to secure a victory in the battlefield of Ukraine. Because essentially, if he was to at this point back down and say, call it quits and say that the war is won, the people in Russia would not be happy whatsoever. And Putin needs to come out on top of this conflict. And he's willing to sacrifice untold amounts of human life to make that goal possible. And when we elect somebody in this country who favors strong men and thinks of himself as a wannabe strong man and sees his relationship with these other world leaders as something that he has to sort of copy, sort of do a copycat of these different world leaders that he admires, because he thinks, oh, if I want my people to respect me like people do Putin and people do Kim Jong-un, then I need to act exactly like them. Trump deep down believes that. And that's why he's willing to give so much favor to people like Putin and Kim Jong-un and others who the whole rest of the world can clearly see are brutal dictators who are bloodthirsty and will stop at nothing to achieve their military goals and have absolutely no problem killing huge amounts of innocent civilians in many cases to achieve that goal. So how is it that Trump doesn't see this when the whole rest of the world sees this and is now saying that Putin just needs we just need another 2 weeks to figure out if he wants to end the war or not, when Trump's own Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has in the past said exactly the same thing, that we just need a little bit more time to figure out what side of the equation Putin is on. But it's absolutely ridiculous, and at this point is an embarrassment to our country that Trump is so ready, willing, and able to play along with Putin and give him as much time as he needs to continue to escalate this brutal, bloody conflict. We just saw last week, a few days ago, that there was a huge missile attack on Kyiv where scores of civilians were killed. So this war is not getting any better. It's getting worse. And Trump repeatedly said that he could stop it within 24 hours if he was elected. We know that that's a bunch of baloney. But I have an article to show you guys where Marco Rubio was questioned. This is from the Latin Times. Marco Rubio was questioned while testifying, and it was straight up asked, is Putin a war criminal? And he is unable to give an answer whether or not Putin is a war criminal in a time when the whole rest of the world can very much clearly see that Putin is a war criminal. So let's go ahead and check this out here.
Secondly, the person we're negotiating with, Vladimir Putin, is he a war criminal?
Well, I think you can look at instances that have happened there and certainly characterize them as war crimes, but our intent is to end the war.
Is he a war criminal?
We can't end the war without talking to
No,
Mr. Putin.
that's pretty simple. Is he a war criminal?
Well, that's
this man we're negotiating with, Vladimir Putin. Is he a war criminal? That's not tough.
But what? I'm trying to answer your question by telling you that we're trying to end the war here.
Go ahead.
No,
You're
it's not a
equivocating.
simple answer.
You are equivocating, sir. Just answer the question.
I'm answering your question, and the answer is that war crimes have been committed, no doubt. And who's responsible for that? There will be time and place for that accountability. But right now, the job is to end the war.
So you won't answer
If we don't
the
end
question.
the war, people are going to get
Reclaiming
killed.
my time, sir. Let me go on.
Wow. He won't answer the question. Is Putin a war criminal? He says, well, war crimes have been committed, but we're not sure who's responsible for that. No, we do know who's responsible for that. The Russian military, right? The buck stops at Putin. There's no one's command orders that go above Putin in the Russian military. So Putin is very much a war criminal. The whole rest of the world can see that and can call it out. But for some reason, our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, can't do so. And Donald Trump continually keeps saying, we're going to just give Putin another 2 weeks to figure it out. I mean, what the heck is going on here, right? Another article I want to show you guys here. Fox News, Trump will determine if Putin, is serious about negotiations to end war, Rubio says. This is from freaking February 16th, guys. February 16th. Trump's prowess as a negotiator will help determine if Russian President Vladimir Putin is serious about negotiations to end the war in Ukraine, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Sunday. He appeared on CBS's Face the Nation, where Margaret Brennan asked if he could trust that potential negotiations with Russia would be forthright, considering how Putin likes to use diplomacy as a cover to distract while he continues to wage war. I don't think in geopolitics anyone should trust anyone, Rubio responded. I think these things have to be verified through actions. I said yesterday that peace is not a noun, it's a verb, it's an action. You have to take concrete steps towards it. Rubio added that there is no better negotiator in American politics than Trump, saying that the president will know very quickly whether this is a real thing or whether this is an effort to buy time. But I don't want to prejudge that. I don't want to foreclose the opportunity to end the conflict that's already cost the lives of hundreds of thousands. So he says on February 16th that we'll know, President Trump will know very soon whether or not Putin is serious or not about negotiating to end the war. How much more time do we need to figure this out? That was February 16th. He said it was very soon afterwards that we'll know then. Here we are, May 28th, and President Trump is still saying that we need to give Putin more time to figure out whether or not he's serious about ending the war. Hey, White House, hey, Putin is not serious about ending the war. Putin wants to continue the war to continue to legitimize him being in power, but also he's a crazy, bloodthirsty psychopath who will not stop simply if he's able to make some territorial gains in the Donbass and Luhansk regions in the eastern part of Ukraine. If he is to be able to make those military gains and then reach some sort of ceasefire, there's no telling that Putin wouldn't continue his war further west into Europe, as he laid out that he definitely wants to do. So I don't know what else we need to see from Putin to understand where he's at. And the fact that this White House continually says we need 2 more weeks to figure it out. What are you guys looking at? What are you guys needing to see? Right? And it falls into the category of incompetence, total and utter incompetence to think that Putin still is wanting to come to the negotiating table. It is malpractice, it is incompetence, and it is absolutely shameful for the leader of the United States of America, to continually make these sort of assertions that we don't know up from down, when the United States is supposed to be the leader of the free world, the leader of and the protector of democracies across the world, democracies that want to grow and expand and continue to have democratic ideals thrive in their country, such as in Ukraine. Putin doesn't want that. That's the main reason that he embarked on this war, to wipe away the ideology and the very mere idea that countries can flourish outside of the umbrella of the USSR, but in the past, but now more so flourish outside of the umbrella of being in cahoots with the Russian leadership in the Kremlin. So that's all I got for you guys in this one. Hopefully Trump can wake up and smell the coffee here and realize, hey, Putin's not on our side. He's not on the side of peace. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. See you in the next one.